Small businesses are low-hanging fruit. You do not have the cybersecurity in place that larger companies have. Preventing cybersecurity attacks against your organization is far more about strategy versus tactics. Thank you. You guys rock. Okay, let me explain to you strategy versus tactics. Cybersecurity is about strategy versus tactics. I mean, that's my one consistent message through most of the things that I go through. The way a lot of people are dealing with cybersecurity right now is a phishing attack will come in to go, okay, I'll fix that. I want you to switch your thinking to prevent cybersecurity attacks. Hello, everyone. I'm Carla Zender, CEO of Hodson Consulting and Solutions, and thank you for joining us today. How many of you are tired of hearing bad news? The world is full of bad news. Every day we hear stories about the pandemic, inflation, recessions, wars, and even cyber attacks. So I thought that I could bring you some good news. We've all been taught that bad news is profitable and popular, and we definitely hear way more bad news than we do good news every day. But sometimes good news can be valuable and even useful. The media loves to spread FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's actually a sales technique that companies use to scare you into buying their products and services. But I want to do the opposite today. Instead of making you feel fearful and uncertain and doubtful, I want to help you feel confident, certain, and fearless. It's already started today when you got some positive and probably pretty surprising news from Mike McAllowitz earlier today. We're always used to hearing that the negative aspects of the inflation and a recession. Now, that is all true, but it's also true that in times of recession is a great time for opportunity. Mike showed you the potential of the upsides of inflation and recession, how you can respond in such a way that your business actually grows and thrives in these hard times instead of withering and dying. Now, one of his worksheets, we even call it the positive process. Another good example of this is a show called Some Good News. Some Good News, a YouTube series created by and hosted by the actor John Krasinski. It premiered in March 2020. You probably know John from The Office. He played Jim on The Office. He funded and produced the show, filmed everything remotely from his home in Brooklyn during the pandemic. After 8 episodes, a stream prom for high school students who were on lockdown was shown, but then the show was actually sold to Viacom, CBS. Since the first season concluded, Some Good News has raised over $2 million for various charities. Donations have gone to charities such as the Direct Relief, Boys and Girls Club of America, Trauma Free World, World Kitchen, the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, Toys for Tots, and the Restaurant Employer Relief Fund. A YouTube series about good news turned into something good for John and something even better for a whole lot of charities. So, what's the good news when it comes to you and your small business and technology that you use every day? Well, it's important to acknowledge that Eric O'Neill was right. It is scary out there. And small businesses are definitely the target of an increasing number of cyber attacks. In fact, 43% of all cyber attacks are directed towards small businesses. There's some small business owners mistakenly believe that they're too small to get hacked. They think the cyber criminals aren't interested in their companies, but that is absolutely not true. As Justin Weller from the cybersecurity firm Blackpoint explains, you're not too small. You're just too small to be on the news. Okay, that's bad news. But here's some good news. First, not all cyber attacks are malicious. Some are, in fact, kind of funny. For example, hackers regularly take over unsecured road construction signs throughout cities throughout the country to share ridiculous messages with these drivers that are stuck in traffic. In San Francisco, commuters were warned that Godzilla was running rampant in the city, or some hackers also use the same theme, and their signs warn people to watch out for zombies or dangerous rogue pandas on the rampage. Another one sends out a cry for help from someone trapped in the sign factory. These silly hacks aren't new. Actually, I did some research to find out about the very first cyber attack in history. Can you guess when it happened? It's probably way earlier than you think. The first cyber attack actually occurred in 1903. Yep, 1903. That's almost 120 years ago and 40 years before the first electronic digital computer was even created. Marconi was the inventor of the first wireless telegraph. He told the public that his wireless messages could be sent privately over great distances. He claimed, I can tune my instrument so that no other instrument can tap my messages. But when he attempted a demonstration at the Royal Institution of England, an unexpected source began beaming powerful wireless pulses into the theater, and it was spelling one word over and over, rats. Well, then the messages got more personal and about mocking him, and let's just say lots of rude insults followed. He tried to continue the demo, but the damage was already done. If someone could intrude on his wireless frequency in such a way, it was clear that there was nowhere near as secure as he claimed it was. And it was likely that they could eavesdrop on the supposedly private messages too. 4 days later, a smug letter confessing to the hack was printed in the Times. Its author was Neville Maskelyne, a 39-year-old British music hall magician. He was interested in wireless technology, and in the 1900s, he sent out messages between a ground station and a balloon about 10 miles away. But his ambitions were interrupted by Marconi's broad patents, leaving him frustrated and angry. Maskelyne hacked Marconi's demonstration as a way to fight back, and that leads us to more good news. Hacking isn't new. So we've had time to learn how to protect our technology systems. In other words, we're getting better at fighting against the hackers. For example, the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack, the FBI was able to recover $2 million in Bitcoin from the hackers. And the good guys are even becoming hackers. They're using cyber attack to fight the bad guys. The British intelligence service, MI6, took over a radical Muslim preacher's online magazine, and they replaced an article on how to manufacture pipe bombs with a collection of cupcake recipes. Additionally, when the US and Israeli coders unleashed a computer worm on an Iranian nuclear facility, they decided to upload AC/DC's Thunderstruck to the main PA system. At random intervals, the iconic rock song would just blast throughout the nuclear complex. And we're not done yet. Here's the best news of all. Cybersecurity doesn't have to be complex and confusing. Just treat your computer the same way you treat your dream car. I'm serious. If you want to understand how to manage your company's technology, just follow the same principles you would use to manage your vehicle. The evolution of automobiles and the automobile industry is very similar to the evolution of computers and the information technology industry. Let's start with cars. What's your dream car? I want you to imagine it. I'm not talking about a nice car that you could probably afford in a couple of years. I'm talking about your dream car. One that is probably out of your reach, but you would love to have it if you won the lottery or, if you sold your business at one of those premium prices. So, okay, are you picturing it? Now, think about what you would want that car to do for you and what are you going to do for that car? The first thing we would want for our cars is to be safe and reliable. We don't want them to break down and we don't want them to get into an accident. There are more than 7 million car accidents in the United States each year, and almost 50,000 people die in those collisions annually. So cars come with an incredible number of safety features: seat belts, anti-lock brakes, crash sensors, airbags, roll cages, safety glasses. They have lane change warnings, tire pressure sensors, mirrors, brake lights, accident monitoring. Adaptive cruise control will actually slow you down if you get too close to the car in front of you. Your wipers will come on automatically if it starts to rain. Your lights will come on automatically when it gets dark. If you think about it, most of the features of a car are actually safety features. And even with all those safety features, you still buckle up and you still drive carefully so that nothing bad happens to your new car. Like Robin Robbins, the founder of the marketing team, says, nobody believes they will be in a car wreck when they leave the house in the morning, but you still put on your seatbelt on, and you don't expect a life-threatening crash, but you still buckle up. But what about reliability? If your dream car breaks down, are you going to go to YouTube video to fix it yourself? No. Are you going to go to AutoZone and pick up the cheapest replacement parts you can find? Or are you going to take a class and become a certified mechanic so you can take care of your dream car? Yeah, probably not. You're going to go to a certified mechanic who specializes in this particular type of car. You're going to get all the oil changes. You're going to check the tire pressure and rotate the tires and get them aligned. You're going to change the fluids and filters on a regular basis. If a warning light comes on, you're not going to just ignore it. You're immediately going to go schedule an appointment and get it checked out. You're going to consistently get it detailed and washed inside and out. You're going to make sure that nothing goes wrong with that dream car. Your spouse is going to definitely be jealous because you treat your car better than you treat them. But you care about more than just safety and reliability. You want your car to run smoothly, but you also want to make sure that it doesn't get stolen. So you care about security. In the United States, a car is stolen every 41 seconds. That means 65 cars are going to be stolen just during this presentation. Almost 1 million cars are stolen each year. The worst cities for car theft are Bakersfield, California, and Denver, Colorado. And the most commonly stolen vehicles are Honda Civics and Ford F-150 trucks. So if you want to protect your dream car, make sure it's not a Honda Civic or a Ford F-150, and possibly move out of Bakersfield and Denver. Make your new home in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and State College, Pennsylvania. These are the two safest cities for vehicles in the United States. But if you want to keep your dream car away from thieves, you will also want to make sure you have every possible anti-theft device. Alarms, GPS trackers, auto-locking doors, remote immobilizers. You might even go out and buy the club to lock your steering wheel. When you park your car, you'll always roll up the windows, lock your doors, take the keys with you, set your alarm, hide all the valuables inside the car. At night, you'd make sure your car is parked in a well-lit area. And when you're home, you park in the garage and you set your home alarm. You never leave your car in a bad neighborhood. You're going to be vigilant, not complacent. You don't want anything to happen to your dream car. If you're really serious about security, you could even get the bulletproof Mercedes-Benz GL 550 by TAC. As automotive journalist Joe Santos explains, good vehicle security has many layers. Ultimately, if you want to keep your car safe, there isn't any one solution that will keep a thief from stealing it. If a thief wants your car, they'll find a way to get it. In that case, it could be better to add multiple layers of security. Lock your car alarm, steering wheel lock, a GPS device, etc. In order to keep your car sitting right where you parked it. A steering wheel lock could work in some situations, but it's far better when combined with other anti-theft devices. But even with all these safety features and security features, you know it's still possible that you might get into an accident. There are a lot of bad drivers on the road, and you can't control every variable. So you also know that if someone really wants to steal your car, they probably can. If Vin Diesel and Ludacris from Fast and Furious come after your car, there is nothing you can do to stop them. So you're going to want to have really good insurance. Insurance to replace your car if it's stolen. Insurance to repair your car if it's damaged in an accident. But you know that your biggest financial risk is medical costs, not property damage. So you want your insurance to protect you from some liability of hurting someone on the road. Collision insurance and liability insurance, the good stuff, not some cheap policy from an unknown insurance company. They'll pay for a tow truck if your car breaks down or if you get a flat tire. They'll pay for a rental car while your car is getting repaired. And then there's compliance. You probably aren't thinking about this when you get your dream car. It's almost invisible, but it starts right away. You can't even buy your dream car without paying for tax, title, license, and registration. The law requires you to have car insurance as well. There are thousands of local, state, and federal rules and regulations related to owning and driving your car. Speed limits, seat belts, traffic lights, emission tests, annual state inspections. You have to pass a test to get a driver's license. You have to regularly renew your license by waiting hours at the DMV, and the list goes on and on forever. If you ignore any of those laws, you have to pay big fines, or you could even lose your dream car. If you get into too many accidents or too many traffic tickets, you might lose your insurance, or it might become so expensive that you can't afford to drive your dream car anymore. Compliance is something that we don't think about, but it's everywhere, and it affects every aspect of your life on the road and the highways. Safety and reliability, security, insurance, compliance. These four layers are crucial to owning, driving, and enjoying your dream car. And these same four elements are crucial to managing your business technology. Remember, cybersecurity doesn't have to be complex and confusing. Just treat your computer the same way you treat your dream car. Safety and reliability. You want your computers to run smoothly. You want your email systems to be reliable. You don't want downtime on your servers. And just like with your car, you definitely don't want your systems to crash. So you hire a competent, trustworthy IT service provider, just like you would take your car to a certified mechanic. Hiring a company to manage your IT can be a difficult decision. There's a nonprofit in Virginia was hesitant to invest in a backup system for their data. It just seemed way too expensive and maybe even unnecessary. But then the organization's executive director saw that their friend's business got hacked and realized the importance of backing up their information. So they worked with an IT service provider and put in the proper backups in place. Very soon after that, they lost a server to a power outage related to a severe storm. But because they had backups in place, they were able to quickly recover everything they'd lost. Online and offline backup systems are crucial layers for ensuring the safety and reliability of your technology. Another example of this is a CPA firm in Missouri. They had a vendor installing software in their system. The tech was new and was completing the installation for the first time. So during the process, he accidentally eliminated thousands of records from their database. The tech was embarrassed and frustrated because this loss could have been very costly and time-consuming to fix. Fortunately, the company had invested in backup systems with their IT provider. When they noticed the lost data, they were able to quickly work together to restore all their information via the backup systems. But you want more than just safety and reliability. You want security, because you can't guarantee your safety on the roads, even if you drive safely when other people are driving recklessly. As Fred Lang, a tech editor and author of Windows Secrets, says, just as drivers who share the road must also share responsibility for safety, we all now share the same global network and must regard computer safety as a necessary social responsibility. Security. You want your technology to be secure. You don't want to get hacked. You don't want to pay the ransom to regain access to your company's data. You don't want malware or viruses. You don't want your website to disappear. And you don't want to lose your reputation because you revealed sensitive customer data. There is a simple solution. Just shut everything off and disconnect from the internet. Well, Dan Farber, a computer security researcher, explains it this way. If security were all that mattered, computers would never be turned on, let alone hooked up into a network with literally millions of potential intruders. You and I both know that going off the grid is not an option for your business. You need a safe and reliable system that you can operate securely. So you hire a competent, trustworthy IT service provider who also has experience and expertise in cybersecurity. Now, there's an interesting connection between car theft and cyber attacks. I shared earlier that a car is stolen every 41 seconds. When I was researching the frequency of cyber attacks, I found they occur almost exact same rate, every 39 seconds. Cybersecurity advocate Paul Herbka makes a similar connection. He says that security in IT is like locking your car. It doesn't stop the bad guys, but if it's good enough, they may move on to an easier target. You don't need to make it impossible for hackers to breach your system. You just need to make it as inconvenient as possible, and that is as hard as it might seem. There are so many cybersecurity success stories. We usually don't hear them in the barrage of bad news, so I wanted to share a couple with you today. As we saw in the story of the Virginia nonprofit, a good backup system is important for safety and reliability, but backups are also a crucial part of the cybersecurity. In 2019, the office manager of a chemical and ink manufacturer in Southern California called their IT provider and explained that they couldn't access some of their files. After logging into their systems and taking a look, it was clear that they had been hit with a ransomware attack. Within an hour, the IT service provider had them back up and running on the backup server, fully functional with no data lost. The best part is the IT provider's security expert was able to do all of this remotely from a hotel room in Vegas where he was attending a conference. And this isn't an isolated incident. Success stories like this happen all the time. Every day, companies avoid disaster because they take security seriously and invest in systems that reduce the probability that they will be attacked or that attacks will be successful. This is important. Companies that avoid disaster invest in systems. They don't just rely on a single system for protection, they have multiple systems. They have multiple layers of protection. If they can't prevent an attack, they can still prevent the damage from the attack. And if the attack occurs, they can help you recover whatever was lost. James Scott advises the US government on cyber warfare and cybersecurity, and he argues that there's no silver bullet solution with cybersecurity. A layered defense is the only viable defense. So why are layers so important? Doug Thies, director of national strategy at Expedient, explains a security system with several layers is difficult to hack. So even if your data is targeted, getting through the many tiers of security will be a hassle. The simplest of programs, such as free online email account, have multi-layer security. Even if accessing your account takes a few extra steps, it's still worth the effort. Certainly better than losing all your data. Using a firewall, making sure your antivirus software is updated, running antivirus checks frequently, and updating your programs regularly are all part of maintaining your personal data security. Cybersecurity education and training for employees is another crucial layer. Now, for example, in Virginia, there was another small chemical manufacturer made up of mostly older employees, and it was a rural part of the state. The company's owner was George, and he was 67. George was smart enough to partner with an IT provider and invest in cybersecurity, but he was skeptical. He didn't think that he could really understand all the complicated technology concepts. In one training session, he actually shouted out, "I can't learn this, I'm a dinosaur." But he did learn it. One day he got an email from a company's insurance provider. It looked suspicious, just like one of those emails from his IT provider's cybersecurity training. So he called the insurance company and let them know they might have been hacked. He also recommended they work with his IT provider to resolve the problem. The IT provider researched the issue, changed the passwords, turned on multi-factor authentication, and resolved the issue, which was isolated to a single email account. What George experienced is known as a phishing attack. The hacker sends a malicious link via email with the goal of infecting the receiver's computer system. Some estimates say that 90% of cyber attacks start with phishing. If a self-proclaimed dinosaur can identify and stop a cyber attack at someone else's company, so can you. You just need to treat your computer like you treat your dream car. Focus on safety and reliability and invest in security. And get a good insurance policy. So let's talk about insurance. You're trying to do everything right, but no one can completely eliminate the possibility of a cyber attack. Just like professional car thieves, professional hackers can access almost anything. Remember the examples in Eric O'Neill's presentation. If China or Russia or North Korea come after your technology, yeah, they're probably going to win. Just like Vin Diesel deciding to steal your car, there are some criminals that you are not going to be able to stop. You know that you can reduce the probability of an attack, so you can make yourself less of a target, but you cannot guarantee your company's safety. As Gene Spafford, a computer science professor at Purdue, sarcastically explains, the only truly secure system is one that is powered off, cast in a block of concrete, and sealed in a lead-lined room with armed guards. But you can't run your business that way. So you hire a competent, trustworthy IT service provider who also has experience and expertise in cybersecurity, and you work with them to choose a good cyber insurance policy. Smart business owners understand the importance of insurance. Currently, only 32% of companies have purchased cyber liability coverage. As Rusty Goodwin from Midstate Group explains, a mature risk posture is achieved with security, insurance, and compliance. All three layers are crucial. You want multiple layers of security, but you need other layers of protection in addition to security. You also need insurance and compliance. So how can cyber insurance help you? Let's look at an example from Texas. A local pizza restaurant had a disgruntled employee. The employee used access to the company's email system to create a fake employee with their outside payroll service provider. Then they authorized a very large check to be deposited into their account. However, the payroll provider had procedures in place to prevent this type of attack. When a new employee was added to the system, the first check wouldn't be direct deposited into the employee's account. A paper check would be created, reviewed, and then mailed. During the review process, the fake account was discovered and the payment was never sent. Dr. Larry Poneman found that this type of internal attack is becoming even more common. We discovered in our research that insider threats are not viewed as seriously as external threats, like a cyber attack. But when companies had an insider threat, in general, they were much more costly than external incidents. This was largely because the insider that is smart has the skills to hide the crime for months, for years, sometimes forever. But that's not the end of the story. When the pizza place found out about the hack, they sued the payroll provider for mismanagement. In order to defend themselves, in the lawsuit, the payroll company paid almost $50,000 for a forensic audit to demonstrate that they had done nothing wrong and had followed proper procedure, and had avoided a potential loss for the pizza restaurant. The audit also revealed that the pizza restaurant had been negligent and had insufficient cybersecurity processes that allowed the employee to access the payroll system. The cost of that audit was paid by the payroll company's insurance provider, and this process was really important to protect the company's reputation. If customers believed that the payroll company was unreliable, they wouldn't be able to continue to build their business and would rapidly lose their existing customers. And this isn't just about protecting your reputation with your customers. Protecting your reputation with investors or potential buyers is also important. Malcolm Marshall, global head of cybersecurity at KPMG, warns that investors see data breaches as a threat to a company's material value and feel discouraged in investing in a business that has had its sensitive information compromised. So let's look at compliance. You know that the only way to get affordable insurance coverage is to create, audit, and enforce cybersecurity policies and procedures. You also know that your insurance might not pay your claim unless you can demonstrate that you are following your written procedures and policies. But UK Information Commissioner Elizabeth Denham worries that when it comes to data protection, small businesses tend to be less well prepared. They have less to invest in getting it right. They don't have compliance teams or data protection officers, but small organizations often process a lot of personal data, and the reputation and the liability risks are just as real. You understand these risks, so you hire a competent, trustworthy IT service provider who also has experience and expertise in cybersecurity, and you work with them to choose a good cyber insurance policy. And then you work together to train your employees and to monitor compliance. The last example about the pizza restaurant and the payroll provider illustrated the connection between insurance and compliance. Both of these layers are crucial, but compliance is also important on its own, regardless of insurance. In fact, it might even keep you from needing to use your insurance. An internal IT employee for a rural hospital shut off the multi-factor authentication for the CEO's email during the software installation. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but unfortunately, they forgot to turn it back on when they were done. Shortly after this, the CEO's email got hacked. The hack created a fake invoice and sent it to the accounts payable using the CEO's email account. However, the hospital has an internal process that requires invoices to be sent to the accounts payable with a copy to the CFO. The hacker couldn't have known this, so they didn't copy the CFO on their invoice email. This mistake allowed the hospital to catch the fraud, and the invoice was never paid. All of this was discovered by their IT service provider, who then went in and reset the compromised accounts and reactivated the multi-factor authentication. Similarly, an electrical parts company signed up for cybersecurity services after experiencing a scare, which incidentally is usually when companies sign up for cybersecurity services. While setting up the new security system, the IT service provider discovered a router that needed to be patched. The internal IT employee kept offering to do it, but never actually did. Fortunately, the IT service provider's cybersecurity services included a SOC, Security Operations Center, which does constant monitoring of the company's system. The SOC noticed an active cyber attack and shut down the power to the router, which stopped the attack. Then they completed the necessary patch, installed the relevant updates, and verified the attack hadn't harmed any of the company's assets. Compliance is important and is becoming even more important. Michael Vadas, former director of FBI Cyber Crime Protection Program, believes that in the near future, cybersecurity exercises are going to be absolutely expected of all companies by regulators. Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank agrees, predicting that America should get ready. Cybersecurity regulations will soon be coming to the United States, and that's actually a good thing. I firmly believe that the US will pass similar regulations like GDPR in Europe over the next 2 years. Safety and reliability, security, insurance, compliance, 4 crucial layers. It doesn't have to be confusing or overwhelming. It can seem complex, but it's just 4 simple steps. You treat your computer the same way you treat your dream car. And now it's time to take this analogy a little further, because cars are actually turning into computers, and cars and businesses are both becoming more automated. Understanding these 2 realities can help you prepare for the future of your business and your industry. First, you don't have to treat your computers like cars anymore, because cars have essentially become mobile computers. For example, a car mechanic isn't called a mechanic anymore, they're called a service technician. They're a tech just like the person who fixes your computers. They aren't up to their elbows in grease and oil most of the time. They use digital diagnostic tools that tell them what's wrong with the car and recommend the proper repairs. Very often, that repair is related to microchips and electronic parts, not the mechanical parts of the car. This transition has happened slowly, but you can see it clearly in the microchip shortage that began during the pandemic. A shortage of chips led to a shortage of cars. Additionally, think about your car key. It's probably not a metal key that you use and you turn to a lock. It's a key fob with a remote start. Your key is a mini computer. In fact, a friend of mine recently drove a rental car with a key that limited both the vehicle's speed and the audio system's volume. Computers run on electricity, and now many cars run on electricity as well. Because cars are becoming computers, it won't be long until car thieves will be hackers. So it's not Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious that you have to worry about. It's actually Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. Teslas are the best example of a car becoming a computer. They also take automation to a whole new level. Teslas don't have a model year for the traditional cars. They can be updated regularly, automatically overnight while charging in your garage. Just like your phone can add new features with updated software, a Tesla that was built in 2019 can add new features that were developed in 2022. Tesla is the most computerized car and the most automated car, with a fully autonomous feature coming probably very soon. And that takes us to the last similarity between cars, computers, and businesses: automation. Automation is becoming essential for both businesses and vehicles, and that automation is driven by computers and technology. For example, most of the safety features that we discussed earlier are automated. They protect drivers from their own mistakes. They also help drivers accomplish more than they could ever do on their own, so they can focus on driving safely. Anti-lock brakes engage and disengage very quickly and automatically. Crash sensors automatically detect potential accidents. Airbags automatically deploy during a crash. Lane change warnings automatically detect other vehicles around the car. Tire pressure sensors automatically provide warnings. Brake lights automatically come on when the brake pedal is pressed. Accident monitoring automatically recognizes when the vehicle crashes. Adaptive cruise control automatically adjusts the speed of the vehicle. Windshield wipers come on automatically if it starts to rain. And headlights come on automatically when it gets dark or when the wipers come on. Think about an automatic transmission. If you've ever driven a manual transmission, a stick shift, then you don't have to imagine what it was like to do all the shifting yourself. Power steering is another great example. It doesn't steer for you, but it makes steering much easier. Your car is even built by robots and are designed on computer-aided software. You can make a service appointment for your car online. You can buy your car online using an app. Scheduling your car's delivery is also automated, and it won't be long until Tesla will be able to drive itself right to you. There are so many examples of this in small business as well. Automated ordering, automated email notifications, automated tracking, automated updates, automated delivery confirmations, automated calendar notifications. Chatbots can handle routine customer inquiries and search databases to provide common responses to common questions. Efficiency, reliability, and availability are all advantages of automation for small businesses. Cybersecurity software is a form of automation, and the beauty of automation is that it's always on. It's always working, always protecting. It never sleeps and it never goes home. So, for example, an electrical company was looking for a new employee. Because of this, their human resource department was receiving a lot of resumes. One of these resumes included an infected link to ransomware. An employee opened the infected link, but the ransomware was blocked by antivirus software, and it kept it from infecting the company's entire server. The employee's email was damaged, but it was restored for backup. Then, the same employee opened another infected link in the same way that same week. The antivirus protected the company again, and their email was restored from backup. Then, you see where I'm going with this. The same employee did the same thing again for the third time in the same week, and the antivirus protected the company for the third time in the same week automatically. It's common to worry that technology will replace people. However, technology doesn't replace people, it also assists them. This is important because when it comes to cybersecurity, people are your biggest asset and your biggest liability. This guy, Bob, was the owner of a farm equipment company in the Midwest, had about 100 employees. His IT provider was getting alerts that someone inside the company was trying to breach the firewall by clicking on a link to a malicious website. The firewall prevented the employee from going to the hacker's website, but then the employee tried again on a different computer. They were stopped again by the firewall, and then they tried again on a different computer, and they were stopped again. At this point, the IT provider called Bob to let him know one of his employees was really trying hard to circumvent the company's security processes. And that's when Bob sheepishly told them that he was the one trying to click on the link. He thought the link would allow him to order a special part that he needed for a customer. When the link didn't work on the first computer, he tried on a different computer. When it didn't work on that computer, well, he just went to another one. If it wasn't for that firewall, the owner of that company would have helped hackers get inside of his own computer system. This illustrates the importance of proper training and having the right tools installed in your system. Both are crucial. It's not just one or the other, because employees can also be the last line of defense when hackers do actually breach your system. Eric O'Neill, who you heard from earlier today, tells a story of an attempted hack on that water treatment plant in Florida. An employee at the plant noticed the cursor on the computer moving around its own. Then he watched the hacker increase the levels of sodium hydroxide in the water supply to 100 times higher than normal. Sodium hydroxide is the main ingredient in liquid drain cleaners. It's used to control the acidity and remove metals from the drinking water in treatment plants. Ingesting too much will cause burns, vomiting, severe pain, and bleeding. After the hacker exited the computer, the operator immediately reduced the sodium hydroxide levels back towards normal level and then notified his supervisor. Even if it hadn't been quickly reversed, the system has safeguards, and the water would have been checked before it was released, so the public was never at any risk. This is a great illustration of the importance of employee training and compliance as well. Like power steering or automatic transmission, automation doesn't always eliminate the need for people, it just gives them better tools. For example, a $20 million marketing company in upstate New York worked with companies that require compliance, but they were unable to verify the compliance internally. Additionally, a vulnerability scan showed them that they had major weaknesses in their cybersecurity, so they hired an IT service provider to help them increase both their security and their compliance. Part of their new cybersecurity system was a SOC, Security Operations Center. Within the first 3 days, the SOC team responded to more than 100 alerts on the CFO's machine. The SOC cleaned up the existing issues and since then has stopped 18 new attacks, including ransomware, on the company's systems. This illustrates the importance of security and compliance. But maybe more importantly, it demonstrates the value of people and technology working together. It isn't one or the other, both are crucial. For example, in July 2021, a healthcare provider with over 100 employees had their internal email system compromised. Their IT provider detected the breach very quickly and resolved the problem within a few hours. They also prevented the hackers from accessing the sensitive data. Quick detection and quick recovery are crucial. Ted Schlane, the CEO of Fortify Software, explains, most people are starting to realize that there are only two different types of companies in the world: those that have been breached and know it, and those that have been breached and don't know it. The owner of an IT services company in California said it's very common for companies to be unaware that their systems have been compromised. When we onboard new clients and install our tools, we find a multitude of things that our clients never even knew about. Security tools detected hacker footholds on workstations, vulnerabilities that the previous provider never patched. And recently, a new client had an employee who had installed a remote access software on their workstation to get tech support from a friend, and the owner had no idea about it. Schlane goes on to suggest that prevention is not sufficient, and you're going to have to invest in detection because you're going to want to know what systems have been breached as fast as humanly possible so you can contain and remediate. Research supports this. Companies that can detect a breach in 30 days or less can reduce potential losses by more than $1 million. One way to ensure both quick detection and response is with an MDR, which is a managed detection and response system. So there's a small city government in Massachusetts. They recently hired an IT service provider that implemented cybersecurity systems and training. Unfortunately, an employee still forwarded a malicious link, which then initiated a ransomware attack. The attack was noticed over the weekend by the technicians with the MDR, and they fought back and forth with the Russians until Monday, when they finally won the battle and saved the city millions of dollars in ransom. If automation is becoming integral to running a business effectively, then managed service providers aren't just service providers anymore. They are indispensable partners as you try to grow and manage your increasingly automated and technological business. Kevin O'Leary, also known as Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, is going to talk right after this about why technology is becoming more and more important to small businesses. He argues that technology is the link between business and customers. This means that making sure your technology is safe, reliable, secure, insured, and compliant is also becoming more and more important. It's absolutely essential. Just like cars are becoming computers, your business is no longer separate from technology. Your business is technology. Safety and reliability, security, insurance, compliance, 4 crucial layers. It doesn't have to be confusing or overwhelming. It can seem complex, but it's just 4 simple steps. You treat your computer the same way you treat your dream car. Partner with a competent, trustworthy IT service provider who also has experience and expertise in cybersecurity, and work with them to choose a good cyber insurance policy and to train your employees and monitor your compliance. But how do you know that your business is protected? Let me help you with that. As an attendee for this event, I'm going to give you a free technology security assessment because I want to eliminate any speed bumps for you getting protected from cyber criminals. How this works, you simply scan the QR code or sign up using the link. During this no obligation confidential assessment, we'll review and assess your current network security strategies, scan the dark web for your company's stolen credentials. Plus, we'll answer any questions that you have about your unique situation and help you uncover security gaps, and you'll know whether or not you're on the right track to protecting your company. Once the assessment is complete, you'll know if your login credentials are being sold in the dark web, if your current backup would allow you to be back up and running fast after a ransomware attack, if your IT systems and data are truly secured from hackers, or if you're unknowingly exposing yourself to expensive fines and for violating data breach laws. Now, I know it's natural to think, oh, we've got it covered, but yet I can practically guarantee our team will find 1 or more ways that your business is at serious risk for a hacker attack, data loss, and extended downtime. Even if you have a trusted IT person or company who put your current network in place, it never hurts to get a third party to validate that nothing was overlooked. And as a third party, we have no one to protect and no reason to conceal or gloss over anything that we find. If you want to know the straight truth, we'll report it to you. And after our meeting, I will not ask you to do or buy anything. You'll have an action plan and decide to either implement it yourself or decide to work with us. I know you're extremely busy, and it's an enormous temptation to discard this, shrug it off, worry about it later, or even dismiss it altogether. That is undoubtedly the easy choice, but the easy choice is really the right choice. This I guarantee. At some point, you will have to deal with a cybersecurity event. Hopefully, you'll be brilliantly prepared for it and experience only a minor inconvenience at most. But if you wait and do nothing, I can practically guarantee you that this will be a far more costly, disruptive, and devastating attack that will happen to your business. You have spent a lifetime working hard to get where you are today. Don't let some thief operating outside of the law get away with taking that from you. And certainly don't hope your IT guy has you covered. Get the facts and be certain you're protected. Thank you again for your time today and your attention. I'll be back a little later with some fantastic tips about leadership. Kevin O'Leary is coming up next.